Okay.
Let me just double check the topic. It's
That's a
introverted,
good beginning.
extroverted teachers, right?
Yeah.
It's more like, I think it's for the prism of like, how is it important? Is it necessary? Is it like a prerequisite to be an extrovert when being an English teacher? Or ELT, like professional?
Professional.
So, yeah. Is it professional to be an introvert?
I have so many thoughts on that topic, honestly. Like this thought to have a podcast dedicated specifically to this occurred to me when I heard Ksenia mention that in your podcast. She was like, at a certain point in my life, I was considering that maybe teaching is not really for me because it's like so draining and I feel exhausted sometimes from like facing so many people on a daily basis, and I think I can relate a little bit, but again, it really depends. So how do you guys feel in general terms?
I honestly think that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. All right, it's okay. I mean, it can go.
I'll just say that I really hope that during this talk of ours, we're going to figure out who I am, because I still don't. Like, I am so torn apart. I don't know. Sometimes it feels to me that I'm a complete extrovert, and usually people tell me that. But again, I hope that we will manage to define, certain factors so we can label ourselves better.
Yeah, I have actually prepped this list of characteristics with the help of my tech friend ChatGPT, which rolled out some, points. Yeah, we can bounce off and we can just go through them and see how many boxes we tick. What do you think, guys?
Yeah,
Let's do that. Okay. All right. So introvert characteristics: energized by solitude. Check.
Definitely check for me. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Like, is it a check for you? Is it a yes for you? Like, recharged by spending time alone.
Yeah, definitely a yes for me, because I just need my solitude. I love it. I love my walks with my dog, maybe with a podcast. But these days, what I've been doing is just like going there completely alone with no distractions, no dopamine, no stimulation whatsoever. Yeah, just because I feel like not only are we inundated with information from all sides these days, teaching groups, has been a bit challenging in that regard for me, because people are demanding of your attention, I guess.
And it's draining.
Whether you like it or not, you kind of have to be bubbly,
Don't you think that your reaction, like the pendulum just swinging in the opposite direction, is because you have to put out so much like of yourself, you invest so much of yourself, and then you just have to balance it off with something like so removed from the society, and it's just like a situational reaction to things? Or is it like your internal core thing of being—
Wait a second, can I paraphrase? Are you saying that we might be more introverted because we are teachers?
Oh.
Well, to me, those two characteristics are not really reliable, to be honest. It's like you can't put people into buckets. So I would say I land somewhere in the middle of the spectrum, though it really depends on a host of factors. For example, like I would love to hang out with certain people and I would steer clear of others, right? So yeah, I think I need my solitude time, but at the same time, I need like to recharge among people I love. So
that is so true, but sometimes you don't really have the freedom to choose. Yeah, right. Like so, and the problem for me with teaching groups specifically is that you get a mixed group of different personalities. So it's one thing when you just assume a certain role, you read the room, and that's where you stay the whole class with just like one person. But if it's a group of people, you kind of have to juggle different personalities, and sometimes it's really hard to, to striking this balance of making sure that you accommodate everyone, equally. Can be a challenge.
Right. But it's more about being— I think it's more about being empathic rather than extroverted, and it takes a lot out of you. Like, I mean, you have to really expand your resources to accommodate. Right. So, Julia, how about you? So, solitude, is it like a prerequisite for your happiness?
I think I'm going to start answering this question by reminding you how I got to start thinking about this topic. It was actually you who provoked me.
Oh, okay.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Remember that time when we all met up in St. Petersburg and we were
Oh,
all
yeah.
sitting at the table, and funnily enough, everybody was like, "Oh, we're introverted." Every single teacher, no matter, I mean, everybody's like super, I don't know, confident, I think, is able to be a leader, could be empathetic, and all of these features included. But everybody was like, oh, yes, I'm an introvert. And then I remember you were the one who said, oh, I'm not that sure anymore. That
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
classes they give me energy.
Right. It was just like a huge like shift for me, like something that flipped a switch for me was starting like taking medication. I'm kind of pretty open about that, antidepressants. And I realized that it's all about like, this untapped anxiety, like a geyser of anxiety kind of, in me, that whenever I can quiet this clutter in my head, like, this emotional clutter, I feel really drawn to people and I do get energy from them. And I really feel like I'm missing out on life when I remove myself from social settings. So yeah, true. But I poked around the internet and I found out that in the majority of cases, people tend to identify themselves as introverts rather than extroverts. Because extroverted people, they get this bad rap about themselves. Like they say, oh, those shallow people who love small talk and mingle, and who like act on impulse, right? Instead of like those introverted, brooding type who really takes time to think and make a decision. Yeah, right? And it's all like black and white. Yeah.
That's interesting because
true.
remember I told you, I think, about the book that I started reading and then I gave it up, which it's called Quiet. So it's about her energy. And there they actually put a completely different spin on it. They're saying that, yes, there are more introverted people, but they sort of present extroverted people as these stars, celebrities that thrive, in attention and, all of this. So it's vice versa. It's like, it's an exception to be an extrovert because you're usually successful, you're able to attract people because you're so charismatic, I don't know, or something like that. But what I wanted to say, and that's going to be actually a question to you guys, because I really do not think, because I used to be in that moment of my life when I would probably answer this question as, every time I talk to people, I get these ideas, I get these insights, I'm so energized, I'm so motivated to do something. Then I shifted also, and I was like, no. The only time how I re-energize is by reading a book or being by myself. And now I'm like, can it be both? Because I was thinking, when I, for instance, teach a master class, which I think is one of the most draining things, right? Because I am the only one who's speaking there, right? There's like 100 people listening, and I speak for 3 hours, and I really give all of myself. But how do I feel after? And I really want to check with you guys if you feel the same way. I do feel so energized after that I cannot go to bed. Like, even if I finish at midnight, I feel this, I don't know, something inside of me lifts and it starts bubbling. And I'm like, just like, I really need to do something. I need to talk to somebody, even though I'm technically exhausted. But the following day, that's when, let's say, there are side effects of that, right? And I'm exhausted, I don't want to talk to anybody, and I want to be by myself. So it's both, technically,
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that our bodies work in a weird way where I don't really remember the correct term for it, but where like our biology is structured in such a way that our body tries to balance everything out. So if you experience any types of extreme emotions, you can feel really drained and hungover on the next day, right? So I think that's what you're talking about, like whether it's something sad or something ecstatic, you can feel the side effects the next day. Yeah.
Isn't that a book?
Yeah, probably. There is a book for everything.
Yes, for sure. Yes, it's like with adrenaline. I think there was an example of that because I remember when I did skydiving. At first, of course, because of adrenaline, you're like the happiest person in the world. But like
Hmm.
1 hour after, you're dead. Like you cannot experience, like you experience zero emotions. You're so exhausted. I've never been exhausted in my life this much. So maybe that is the thing, the compensation.
I can relate to what you were saying about the differences and like this idea of extroversion and introversion being a spectrum. And I think it can also be intertwined with neurodivergence, because I was recently diagnosed with ADHD like a couple years ago. I finally, something that I suspected my entire life, I finally figured it out. Yeah. And I think that can be related to it as well, because I get really energized from talking to people. If it's people, as Nina mentioned, right, that I'm really drawn to, someone that I love in general, or if it's someone that I respect and admire and the topic is really of interest to me, in that case, I feel like this wave of enthusiasm coming over me, so to speak. Yeah. And yeah, but on the
Also
other
connected
hand,
to ADHD. Wait a second. Can you elaborate on that? I want to see if there's a connection between these two.
yeah, I think so, because from what I know, I mean, I'm still learning about this condition. I mean, we probably all know this from social media. My particular case is more about like being interest driven. So if I'm not interested in something, I find it really hard to focus. And that happens during classes, unfortunately. Sometimes you listen to a certain student speak and you are not inspired whatsoever. And you have to really make yourself stay focused and make sure that, yeah, you're actually listening to what they have to say, catch those pesky mistakes and whatnot. Yeah. Or, yeah, like if I get excited about something, I can just get overly obsessed about it and spend like hours upon hours researching a certain topic. And I feel like part of the reason that I learned English and I like dedicated so much of my time to it is that, because I remember, yeah, back in the day I would spend like up to 5 like hours a day, yeah, just like immersing myself.
So like called hyperfocus.
Yeah,
Hyperfocus.
yeah, I think so.
Focus. Yeah, ADHD terminology, right? When you just go down this rabbit hole, you lose yourself in it entirely. Okay.
And I've heard
Yeah,
people, we call them, there's like typical, like neurotypical people.
Neurotypical, neurodivergent.
Neurodivergent, yeah, on the spectrum.
On the
Yeah, but it's more
spectrum.
about, is it like offensive? I'm not sure. Like it used to be like euphemism, but
Anything can be offensive.
No, yeah, I think that, yeah, on the spectrum used to refer to autistic people, but now it's about everyone, I think. Yeah,
everyone, right.
Any type of, yeah.
Yeah. I love this expression, like have a touch of something. Everyone has a touch of something.
That's what I believe. I feel like I was listening to this lecture this morning on autism. It's like a podcast, and the professor was one of the most, well-known experts in the field. And he was talking about autism, and not just autism, but he explained that these days neuroscientists believe that our brains are unique and they develop in, all manner
Like
of
snowflake.
ways. Yeah, like exactly.
Every brain is a snowflake.
And it comes down to like the background, our environment, and it starts like way in the womb when we're just exposed to, yeah, it's pretty intense as it turns out.
Yeah, epigenetics. Yeah, it's nice to know that you're a special flower. I like it. I don't like to be shoehorned into a box of extroversion or introversion. Right, but I love to like bring.
This is going to be a problem.
Yeah, we're gonna like speak over each other.
Sure.
I was thinking about a new angle, so if you wanted to add something, I think I should let you go first.
Oh, no, I just wanted to come back to you actually because I think both of us, Vlad and I, expressed how we feel usually in terms of, so I said that I feel both usually. Depends, of course, I totally agree with you guys that it depends on who you're talking to. Yes, there are people
Mm-hmm.
that, no matter the topic, no matter your mental state, they're going to drain your energy because they're vampires, right? But generally, I think I feel both. Vlad said that it depends on the topic mostly, right? Nina, you said that you do feel energized after classes,
I do
right?
feel energized. I love being a harmonizer in a group. I love to make classes run smoothly. This is where I thrive. It's like the
Mm.
well of energy I tap into. I really love it. And I rarely like lose focus in classes, but whenever I'm overstimulated, like sensitive, I'm really like hypersensitive,
Mm-hmm.
there's this
Mm-hmm.
term, yeah, being a hypersensitive person. Then I start just, I don't know, like I just get into my head, like get caught up in my head, and it's very hard for me to kind of snap back into focus. I start being too, obsessed with the way I feel, and I can't really like. I guess I just get this internal focus at this moment, yeah, and it's hard to return to the people around me and kind of shine my attention on them. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but in general, I think I identify as an extrovert. We have to decide. Yeah. So now, like going through all the boxes, we discussed just a few, but I feel like I belong to extroverted people. And if you don't mind me like shifting the gears, I wanted to bring up this ELT element to the discussion. And I get to hear a lot like people using it as an excuse, right? So I'm an introvert, so it's hard for me to engage with people. That's why like teaching is not really my jam, or it's hard for me to be a teacher, or I'm a specific type of a teacher. So what do you think about that? Does it really overlaps with your professional self? Do you really have to kind of believe in that much that it defines your, what kind of teacher you
Mm-hmm.
are?
That's
I
a
would say
really
that there are two sides to this point, and also some. First, the box that you haven't mentioned yet, and I think we haven't talked about it because we talked about the energy aspect of it. But I do have a question for you guys in terms of being shy and timid. Do you think that this is a part of somebody's personality, as in it cannot really be changed? Or my point of view is that it's more of a skill, of feeling confident, of being able, for instance, to speak publicly, to be in the center of attention. Do you think you can somehow develop the skill? Because
mm-hmm.
times, because as Nina just mentioned, right, when people, let's say, excuse themselves, right, saying, oh, I'm just an introverted person, do you think they mean that, okay, I'm shy, I'm timid, I don't want all of this attention, I shut down when people look at me and all these things? Or is it a skill?
I think there's definitely some genetic predisposition, probably, and whether you have like a sunny disposition or it's a bit more, glum and gloomy. I don't know, but overall, I would say that it's probably a skill, as any soft skill. You can train it if you want. You can learn how to navigate different social situations and environments, right? And yeah, I don't know. A lot of it, I think, comes down to social anxiety for a lot of people, and that can be traced down to their childhood sometimes, from my experience at least, yeah. But overall, exposure therapy works wonders, I think. Yeah, if the more you do it, the better you become at it, right? What do you think?
Yeah. I kind of agree. I would say that introversion and shyness are not the same. It's just shyness is something that is frowned upon in our really extroverted culture. Yeah, you gotta put yourself on this beautiful display on social media. You gotta,
Mm-hmm.
sell yourself, vie for attention, right? So shyness is not like a valued skill, right? So as for introverted people or so-called introverted people, I guess it's just there is so much to unpack here, and there are so many like unique cases hidden behind the veil of introversion, and there is no one size fits all excuse, right? So if you want to be a teacher, you have to possess like a certain toolkit, right? You have to have those tools and learn your way around it. If it doesn't feel to you like I don't know, like your nature, it's even for the better, I think, because you can control it. You can like literally flip the switch, right? And use it when you need to. And this is the way I feel like whenever I'm kind of down in the dumps, I'm not in the mood for teaching, I just know I have to put my teacher's hat and just put my best foot forward. It's just part of the skill. It's part of the job.
It's called professionalism. Right? I think it can apply to any field, right? Like whether you're a singer, an actor, I don't know, a public speaker, an influencer, a doctor. Like doctors, I don't know how they do surgeries. Yeah, they have to cut into people.
Don't get me started.
They also have lives, so they have to find a way to disassociate from all of this, right? And the same is true for teachers. Again, it's important to learn not to take everything personally, right? Like in teaching, because a lot of people, especially when they're like novices, they take everything to heart, any comments, any feedback. And I mean, I still do, sometimes. But sometimes, it's better to just like, I don't even know how to put it. Yeah, like you just have to develop this armor around you, build a wall of sorts.
Thick skin. Yeah, thick skin. Like just let it roll off your back. Yeah, right.
Again, there's a line probably, between becoming callous and not showing up as your true self. I'm not talking about that, but also being a bit more objective and not as hard on yourself as we sometimes are.
You can reflect without, you can just use this, because I do remember those times when I would have a bad class and every single bad class would, spiral me into thinking, oh, that's it. This is not my calling. I cannot be a teacher. Well, I made a mistake, all of those things. Right. Then I was like, okay, every bad class, exactly, is an opportunity for me to just reflect and think, okay, what could I do next time it happens, right? How do I deal with these problems instead of, beating yourself up for it?
Well, it's not like
I established for myself like this bare minimum line, like the standard I have to meet by all means. And everything else is like bells and whistles, is extra. Is great if I have it in class, but the bare minimum is like, like the golden standard for me, like something that I have to deliver. If I don't deliver that, I will try to kind of take stock of the situation without beating myself up. But I've been at the place where I would just go hard on myself and beat the hell out of myself. So, I guess it's a rite of passage.
Yes, exactly. Teacher. It's a necessary stage for any teacher, I think. I wanted to segue into a little topic that Nina kind of touched upon when you said, I really like being a harmonizer, right? You said, I like, I guess, in a way, being that person who creates the ambience, right? Who leads people and so on. So, and I think the topic that I'm going to bring up is somehow related to introverted and extroverted people. So one of my friends who you might know, she's the owner of a German school. She mentioned something that also was interesting because it's somehow interrelated with blogging, with being an influencer. She said, there are people who really like the role of a performer. So a person who somehow feeds on the attention, on people listening to you. And one thing, of course, the side of it is being an influencer. And again, you can also develop that. But then I had a flashback into the times when I was like 22 and I was teaching for adults, this corporate English, with CEOs and stuff. And I remember I was constantly catching myself in this moment of flow, when you are the center of attention, you tell them what to do, you joke, you make them laugh, they're like, there's just something about it. Like, I remember I was my happiest self during that. And when she said this about the role of a performer, because it never crossed my mind, because I never wanted to be an actor, right? I was like, maybe that's why I truly enjoy teaching. And sometimes it does bring me energy, and also being an influencer, because there's a part of performing there too. What do you guys think? Do you guys think you have this part of wanting to be a performer?
I would say that I generally love being in the limelight. Steal
Diva?
everyone's thunder. Yeah, I'm a diva. Yeah, there's a reason, yeah, why I'm a fan of Mariah Carey, because she's a diva, and that means I'm a diva too. Yeah, there's definitely something about it, but I also feel like you have to find like strike this balance between performing and stealing all of the attention, and that's really hard sometimes when you are just starting out as a teacher, right? To really like feel where the line is, and yeah, once you feel it, you can enjoy those brief instances where you can actually put on a show and impress everyone in a way and make everybody laugh or something like that, right? But you also have to let your students shine sufficiently, and yeah, we have to remember that.
Stealing their thunder. Yeah, it's not a way to go about it. Yeah, I kind of agree. I remember that was a huge thing, a huge issue for me in my therapy. Like, I was really shying away from the spotlight. It was hard for me to kind of embrace the fact that I want attention and I crave it in a way. And it's part of the teacher's, job to love it, to revel in it, and to tap into this, artistic, side of teaching, performing side of teaching. And yeah, once I came to terms with that, somehow, managed to say yes to this part of the trade, I felt like puzzles just jigsawed into place for me. Yeah. And
So
I guess it's just, I do have it. When I kind of managed to find the right proportion, because it's a delicate science, as Vlad just mentioned. Yeah. So it's all about balance. And I think you have to kind of set an example for your students that you can be an eloquent speaker and really know your shit. I'm sorry. Know how to just take charge of your language and how to act with confidence and step into your power. It's important. If you shy away all the time and, overthink the teacher talking time, it's going to set you up for failure, I think. So, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, when it
I remember.
When it becomes like one man podcast, it's not the way to go about it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like teacher talking time is definitely an overrated thing. I feel like some teachers take it a bit too far. They go overboard with it. In that sense that they're so careful to make sure that they're not talking too much to the point where there's no personality in their class anymore. And that's probably a cause for concern. So sort of like this, alarm bells ringing. Because people are attracted to personalities first and foremost, right? So that brings me to the question I wanted to ask you, whether it might actually be okay to have different personalities, and therefore an introvert might actually thrive in the classroom by bringing a different type of energy there, kind of something more, tamped down. Like,
you mean like an introverted
chill.
student in your classroom?
No, like a teacher, like an introverted teacher can still be successful and thriving in this field by attracting a type of crowd that is drawn to that type of energy. I mean, like something that is less extreme and effervescent, right? Like something that is more like laid back and chill.
Subdued.
Yeah. Right. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Or is it just...
I think I've been a student of many teachers, and some of them I would classify as introverted, but again, it's like such a loose term. I don't know. It depends. I think they can still harness certain things. They can be introverted and more slow-paced, and it brings more air into the session, into the class we're having, but they still they have some kind of standards, and they can know how to make the flow and how to set the dynamic in class. So I guess some elements can work out, but still certain level of dynamic and certain level of energy level it's something that you have to maintain.
It's like what you said about a teacher's hat, right? I think you can be introverted all you want in your life, but when you come to a class, at least this is my preference, I guess. And I'm thinking back to my university years, for instance, the teachers that I was somehow drawn to, and I wanted to study with them, and I admired them, and I would go happily to each of their class, no matter what hour of the morning they would start at. And teachers who might have been very good professionals, they had the knowledge, they could teach, but there was something lacking there. And I think it's, again, coming back to shyness. Maybe I couldn't feel this confidence that they deserve to be there, that they can, let's say, not control, okay? It's a very strong word, but own, the ambience here in the room, and if it's necessary, calm somebody down or vice versa. Like, I think it's a very important feature. Again, it can be developed, I think, or not. It's, again, a good question, but I do remember those teachers that I was like, this is a great person. I really, respect them. They're amazing. I know they're professionals, but I don't want to listen to them. Like, I don't feel this, I don't know, personality again that somehow makes me, absorb everything they say and want to be around them. And I think that's an important thing in a teacher.
Maybe it's more about confidence than, introversion or extroversion, because I feel like, for example, it's a bit different with music, but certain performers that I personally enjoy, they can actually do that. They just go on stage and there's this, dynamic presence that you feel immediately. And they can be very different people. Some more mild and subdued. Some are really over the top. Yeah, but if you are bland, drab, bleak, no personality whatsoever, that's probably not the best idea to start teaching or performing. I don't know, would you guys rather go to a class taught by, let's say, Rihanna, or a class taught by, some of my friends are gonna kill me, Taylor Swift?
That's true.
Nothing against her, but there's Rihanna, whose music is all spicy, and Taylor Swift, who is more, for lack of a better word, generic.
A lot of people would disagree.
I know.
Not me, but
very good question.
Both of them are.
Can I ask you back then? Because I imagined this. I literally imagined this. I don't think I know much about Taylor Swift, but I think I understand what you're getting at. Do you guys think that if you have students that are introverted, for real, again, we haven't defined it yet, but shy, timid, maybe a little more into the solitude aspect of life, would they possibly be intimidated by a strong presence of a personality in a teacher? Would they maybe shy away and not want to speak up because they're like, whoa, there's a lot of this person here, and they're so energetic. And maybe those people would prefer to have a teacher who is quieter and maybe more about them rather than themselves.
I feel like I specifically named Rihanna because she's a prime example of a person who is amazing, but also doesn't really take herself seriously, too seriously, right? And to me, a strong personality that you want to admire and respect and look up to is someone who is cool, who has accomplished a lot, but they are not condescending and self-absorbing about it. And there's maybe even a tinge of self-deprecating humor there that they use to sort of break the ice. So students feel that this person deserves respect, but they do not feel intimidated by them, right? That's how I feel about it. Nina, what do you have to say? You seem to be pondering this question really hard.
Yeah, kind of really I think honestly, it's not even about having a big personality or being like larger than life. To me, it's like the ability to get in tune and sync with other people in the room, right? Like an introvert can fail to do so, and an extrovert, by the same token, can really fail, right? So providing space for other people, being genuinely interested in what they have to say, kind of feel in your gut what kind of struggle they're going through in their head right now. And yeah, kind of extending a hand, an invitation to speak with the right words. This is what counts, honestly. And you can be an introvert all you like. If you can do that, you have like a line of students. But yeah, this is like being empathetic in a nutshell, I guess, the long and short of it.
Yeah, like actually caring about what people have to say and being genuinely concerned whether they make it or not about the results and stuff, right?
Yeah, being really like attentive to like a situation when a student is awfully quiet, for example, or they somehow recoil from a conversation. They need to change their partner maybe, or they feel uncomfortable because of the question. So you have to like switch things up. So that's what counts to me, like not being really caught up in your head, but yeah, in sync with the people around you.
Can I circle back to confidence though? Because we talked about this, and I'm thinking that if a person, okay, I don't want to use the word shy because again, we haven't defined it, maybe like less, what's the opposite of confident? Insecure, I guess.
Like withdrawn, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So as a teacher, again, if we're talking about teachers, do you think that confidence means that you are capable of admitting your mistake, saying that you don't know this word, and you cannot help it now, or that, for instance, I remember it took me some courage, but I did manage back in Vietnam when I was teaching teenagers. I don't remember exactly what happened, but there was a moment when I realized I was wrong in the way I treated them. So not like I made a mistake, because of course it's easier with kids, right? They're not going to notice or something. But I realized that I did something. I don't remember. Maybe I shouted or something. And I was like, I was wrong. So I came to them, to those like 12-year-olds, and I said, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I apologize. I shouldn't have done this. And it feels to me that if a person is extremely insecure and, again, for the lack of a better word, shy, let's say, timid, they're not going to do it, and they will try to avoid the confrontation or avoid the like this being vulnerable, I guess, right? With the student saying, oh, sorry, yeah, I made a mistake, that whatever I told you last time was not correct, and so on. So what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Like glossing over some screw ups. It's like, I think everyone can relate to that. We sometimes have this urge, and I remember like really following the urge of doing so when I was younger. But now it's just easier, and now it's gonna hover over my head. It's gonna weigh on me, the screw up, and I need just to throw it out in the open. Yeah. So just taking care of myself in this situation.
Yeah, I feel like when I was younger, I used to feel insecure about that, and I felt like I had to be perfect. But these days, I actually think that vulnerability is a major part of it. And I really see my students enjoying every single instance where there's something that I don't know, or something that I'm not sure about.
Gloating over it.
Yeah, like gloating over it. And I'm usually completely unapologetic about it. And they're like, oof, so much weight off my shoulders, right? Like, teachers also make mistakes, and they, have no idea about stuff. And I feel like this goes to show that vulnerability is like this quiet strength. Yeah, and it kind of, infuses people with more enthusiasm to stick to it and be consistent about your learning and understand that it's, never ending.
Yeah. I love when my teachers, like, I don't know, instructors used to, and I like learn from now when they have this moment of impasse, when they don't know the answer, because I feel so seen at this moment, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not alone in this, limbo of not knowing something, like the unknowns, the blanks I have to face in life. So yeah, that's a bonding moment.
Yeah,
Yes,
that feels amazing.
I think I learned to be not even just appreciate those moments, but I am genuinely excited when I make a mistake or I don't know something or I say something incorrectly, and I'm like, because I have the responsibility, right, of
Hmm.
motivating people around. So if I do that, immediately that's a perfect tool for other people to use. And I wanted to even maybe give an example outside of teaching, but still in the realm of languages. Think about native speakers that make mistakes or forget a word, or, and then it's such a relief, right? You're like, okay. A native speaker can also forget a word or mispronounce something. And
Yeah.
then
We set the
immediately,
bar so high for ourselves as second language teachers. Like it's inconceivable almost, right? Like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, on the one hand, I love it because it kind of drives you to constantly work on yourself. Yeah, hijacking your imposter syndrome, as Julia once made a reel about it. Yeah, but on the other hand, sometimes you can definitely go overboard with it, and it can take a toll on your self-esteem, mental health sometimes, right? Like as a learner, especially, yeah. As teachers, I think we have learned how to face all these challenges, and we kind of know now that, yeah, this is just a phase, it will pass, and I just have to like ride this wave, feel all of my emotions, let it all out, get it out of my system. And yeah, but we need to set an example for our students that it's totally fine to not be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about native speakers. I still think, like, in my head, these are two different animals when they make a mistake, because for them, it's like an artistic liberty. Language belongs to them. But when we make a mistake, we have the license for the language. We don't own it. I know it's kind of really rigid thinking on my end, but I still feel like it's not the same. I can't equate these two things, but it's just a side note. Yeah, a tangent.
what about you making mistakes in Russian? Do you feel a certain
That's
way?
just me not being educated. Yeah, but still a native speaker. Like, it's a variety of language and uneducated. So it's not to say it's not to say that
Really?
it's like it's fine. It's legitimate to make those mistakes.
Hmm.
But yeah, but I'm okay with general, like, making mistakes is fine by me because we all make mistakes. I think I don't want my surgeon to make mistakes though. Yeah,
They
but
still do, though. And
absolutely.
we don't want to think about
Absolutely.
it, but they still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel
Yeah,
like
but
my
so,
native language has been on this steady decline since I started teaching these high level classes, because prior to that, at least, I had time to read in Russian, but these days I'm in this limbo
yeah.
where my English is not as perfect as I want it to be, but my Russian is also steadily declining, and there's no going
Yeah.
back.
So
I
diminishing.
Yeah, I remember Nina texting me or something. Yeah, she's like, "Can I just write it in English because my Russian writing is not there anymore." I
Yeah.
mean,
I think that's
obviously,
a good
she was
example.
probably exaggerating the hell out of it, of
No,
course.
it
Yeah.
comes to practicalities because I have to switch my brain to using like the Russian keyboard and like the punctuation signs. And it's so much hassle, like having to switch. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even have a Russian keyboard, so sometimes when
me
Yeah.
I
neither.
type
Yeah,
Russian, it takes me a million years to,
blind typing.
yeah. I was actually
Ooh.
yesterday, I was recording a YouTube video, right? And it was about accent tips. And I realized that, and it was like a long video, not a reel for a minute or two where
Hmm.
you barely say anything, but it was sort of like a mini class. And I realized this is the first time ever I teach phonetics in Russian. So it was so confusing for me. I was really looking for words, how to give, I don't know, like all those metaphors that we use in order to get to people. It was much harder in Russian. And I think when we find this, we really, well, not maybe not us again, because we have a completely different situation, but I'm talking about students. They have to really dwell on this a little bit because it helped me a lot to feel way more confident about English when I came back from Asia, not being able to speak Russian properly. Like I was making really stupid mistakes. Everybody was saying that I had an accent. I was like even grammar wise, not just let alone idioms. Every time I would start an idiom and would be like 1, 2 words, and I'm like, I don't remember how it ends. I have no idea. And then it kind of, I guess, illustrated for me that can happen to any language, and I should not be so hard on myself with other languages, right? Because, as you said, Nina, about being a native speaker. But being a native speaker, again, I am the living proof, doesn't really mean or like doesn't give you this superpower of never losing this language or of always speaking correctly, right? And so we can
like if we analyze it from the vantage point of research, it's kind of inconclusive still because we can't really look into people's brains directly. But there's probably a lot of difference. The way I see it is that we acquire native language along with all the knowledge about the world around us. So this will never be replicated. This can be replicated in certain aspects in terms of, certain topics that you learn through your second language. And this is how we feel a bit more confident, and comfortable talking about certain topics in English, right? But our native language, it's something different. It feels different. Again, you can feel that. I feel like the most vivid example of this is swear words. They don't feel the same in English, no matter how hard you try. Like I still like sometimes I stumble upon people like being super shocked about like the F word, native speakers. And I'm like, what is that all about? Like people swear left, right, and center, and it feels like it's just a word to me.
Right.
I don't know, maybe. I've been sitting here totally intimidated by Nina's vocabulary the whole time, so maybe she feels different about it.
Same here.
No, I actually read this amazing article on how languages fight for the place under the sun in our brain. And actually this whole concept of a native speaker is super reductive, and it was conceived in the 19th century. 19th century. Oh my God, I'm tired. So and it's super like right-wing idea, which kind of has this, undertone of hierarchy. So there's some purity and there is some not deserving speakers. And the natural state of human mind is actually like speaking a few languages. It's what like people had to do in the past, and making mistakes is totally fine because people would speak a few languages and they would interfere in their brains. So that's kind of not like a natural thing, not a given, like being like a native speaker. It's just a concept.
That is very true, because if you think about bilingual people, right, or trilingual people, there's still always one language that is dominant, and you cannot take it away. And sometimes it's not the language. For instance, my friend who's bilingual Spanish and English, his dominant language is English, whereas he grew up speaking Spanish until 5 years old. So the base and the foundation is Spanish, but his dominant language will always be English now. So it's not like it cannot be equal.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It's actually set in stone. Like you have things shifting in your brain the entire life. So a lot of like, it's like tectonic shifts. So it depends on your story and your language environment. So
I read an interesting article about it that said that, like, speculated basically, because it's like, yeah, a hypothesis that everything kind of stays in our brains, anything that we go through, experience firsthand specifically. And languages are kind of that, right? Like, we experience them firsthand if we manage to learn them to a higher level. And you can lose the ability to retrieve it, but it's still there. So you just need a bit more time to kind of, resuscitate it in your brain. Yeah, bring it back to the forefront. And I can relate to that because it happened to me with Ukrainian. I used to speak it really well, but haven't spoken a word of Ukrainian in like 10 years. And it's just not there, but I can still understand it perfectly. But whenever I have to like speak it, nope, it's not there.
Those are different synapses. I think if you've been speaking or let's say if it's from childhood, and that was a very big insight for me because we keep saying that, for instance, writing in English, I think is easier for all of us right here, or certain things, even honestly performing. Like every time I have to say something publicly in Russian, I get nervous because I already have this kind of English personality that is a public speaker, But at the same time, I also have to admit, and there's nothing shameful about it, that the connection that I have with Russian is always stronger on a different level. Yes, I might have the skills, let's say, more developed in English, or let's say I read more books in English than in Russian. But this basic, I don't know, rudimentary kind of connection, like inside your brain from childhood, is just there.
I feel like it's just speed of processing, honestly, like speaking from the neuroscience point of view. Neuroscience-y. Yeah. You just had more exposure to the language from the time you were like, yeah, basically an infant. I don't know. There's definitely a difference that I see with monolinguals. For example, my partner is monolingual, and I can definitely tell the difference. Monolingual people are a lot less creative with languages, so they do not go above and beyond trying to, like come up with creative ways to express themselves.
Another box? That doesn't sound fair to me.
That's anecdotal evidence, of course. I'm not like trying to push it as, gospel.
Gospel. Great minds. I actually disagree because I had Russian as my foundation only, and I have this really intimate, special relationship with languages. I used to be a journalist. I used to write in Russian, and then in English, it's just my favorite thing in the world, my happy place, like playing around with the language. Yeah, English. Yeah, being like
maybe it's just like my observation because I'm mostly speaking about people whose life does not revolve around languages. So maybe it's us that are a bit more creative because we are obsessed with languages. Let's face it, right? But what I've noticed is that a lot of people who are not into languages that much, if they are monolingual, they usually just stick with very strong collocations or like proverbs and sayings that people use all the time, and it makes perfect sense because they're so perfect at expressing what they want to get across. But us as language learners, I feel like we are always coming up with something interesting, making sure that it's not just a cliche, but it's something that hasn't been done before. That's how I feel.
When you say monolingual, you're not the opposite of this in this context is not bilingual. It's just a person who speaks different languages, right? Not necessarily bilingual.
Yeah, not necessarily like a true bilingual, just anyone.
Monolingual is a person who only knows one language.
Yeah, just like one language and that's it. Mm-hmm. Like they're a lot more... It feels like they just have more time with that language, and that's why they're like... neural pathways are a lot more established, and they have less trouble retrieving words. They have no problem with grammar and structure, and they're a lot faster at processing that language because that's the only language that they operate with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I brought this up, but
Yeah, I kind of digressed. Yeah, took a left turn. I was thinking about me, of course. I think I'm not that creative, and I'm a linguistic pickpocket. So I just love, collecting gems and like stash them away and then kind of fish them out and show off with something that I gathered from books or whatever sources I expose myself to. So,
And we both feel intimidated here.
yeah, like just sitting here dripping in language anxiety, thinking that, oh my gosh, my vocabulary is not enough.
It has never been my intention.
I'm just kidding.
I have to tell
no
you what,
worries.
like every single time I talk to a new teacher that joins our team, every single person says, I don't think I'm going to be as good as Nina. So every time I'll have to go through a therapy session with, I think I did this with Lat too. And like every single teacher, I'm like, you don't have to be Nina. Nina is unique. I'm not setting this expectation. This is not the standard.
Yeah, I feel like that's the main takeaway that I want people to have, because we're all different personalities. And, like if I have to analyze my use of language, I feel like I speak in plain Russian and plain English most of the time. And that's just the way I am. And yeah, I could really relate to that reel you made about like us using beautiful to describe everything when we're talking about, like nature and architecture in our native languages. But when it comes to English, we are so creative. Yeah, like because we have to teach those things. And I feel like we need to impart this idea to our students that they don't have to impress other people with words. So
unless they want to. Unless they want to.
Yeah, like it's perfectly fine.
There is no fault in really like reveling in the language beauty and wanting to employ all those words. I think it's either or. Yeah, no, there are a lot of like shades of that. It's a spectrum. Right. Sometimes you
definitely.
Can use a
that's why I just say,
yeah,
they don't have to. They can, of course, but they don't have to, because I feel like a lot of the times you see students joining, like high level classes, and they're like, oh my gosh, everybody's just spewing vocabulary left, right, and center, and they're like sitting there a little bit scared, and then they kind of like get into the
I think there's also a particular layer of people who join C1 classes, and usually they are the people who, because B2 B2 is enough, to function in a country, right? To watch movies, to hold a conversation. So not everybody needs anything more than B2, right? Unless somehow, like for instance, I'm comfortable with my B2 Spanish, but because I'm a linguist, and I love Spanish, I do want more. So I think people who go to classes of C1, C2, they're a particular layer of people who want to sound a little bit more sophisticated or, stand out a little bit more.
I love how we went off on a million tangents. Like we started with introversion and extroversion.
Podcast.
Yeah, and ended up on our passion: linguistics, languages, bilingualism, vocabulary sizes, all of that.
Yeah, that's what we naturally gravitate towards.
Yeah. So what's our conclusion about extroverted and introverted people, though? What do we think?
It's a sham. It's my closing thoughts. I'm just kidding.
Hoax.
But it's still, I think it's just outdated. It's not reliable, metrics anymore. Yeah, so there are a lot. Neuroticism maybe, because I'm into therapy. It's another passion of mine. And like now I'm experiencing this total makeover of my personality because I don't have this freaking anxiety weighing on me anymore. And I feel like an extrovert.
Yeah, anxiety is a big part of it.
Yeah, subtract the meds and I'm back into like this despair. And so I don't know. I don't think it's a reliable characteristic.
This is actually something that we really, I think, have to discuss. I don't remember in which book I read it. Really, I can't pinpoint it, but there was a thought that somehow, because our lives are so driven by language, by linguistic side of it, because we always talk and express ourselves, sometimes we just take the words that exist in the language and then we think that this is truth. And I remember this author gave an example of a mermaid. I think he was like, there's a word in the language which exists. It's mermaid. We all know more or less what it is, but it doesn't exist. So then he's like, why do you take, for instance, the word love, yeah, or happiness, and you think that because people came up with these words, they necessarily exist? And the same thing here. Somebody, some scientist, I don't even know who, probably somebody famous, right, came up with this theory that there are introverted people and extroverted people. And then after that, there have been so many different researches, right? And categorizations of other qualities, right? A million different things. And none of it is actually true, right? It doesn't mean that this is the universal truth that's on science, because again, it's not physics, right? Psychology or whatever.
Even physics is like relative. Yeah.
Exactly.
There are a lot of questions.
Once I realized that, my world was never the same. I was like, really? So even physics is not something that I can use, as a pillar for my mental health. Once you hit that point, it's only downwards from there. And then you hit the rock bottom, and then you rise like a phoenix, and you're like, okay, time to not give a fuck. And that's where you find it, I think. This peace.
Right. I wanted to say that I was, a little bit related to the topic of physics. Let's say, Eduardo told me once, and because I'm a linguist, I never thought about it. He's an economist, right? He said, maths is a language you use to describe the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, shit, that's true. Because you always see math, it's like those
we
numbers.
We could use this for like a funny reel.
Right?
Language nerds discovering that math is the language of the universe.
Light bulb.
An aha moment, yeah. I don't know what to say, honestly. Yeah, I feel like all personalities can do teaching as long as they are empathetic, as Nina said, and they can measure up to the impossibly high standard that Slavic teachers have set. That's just the truth, I feel like. Let's be brutally honest. We are the best teachers, like in Russia.
I know. Let's finish this off actually by maybe saying, because if we are, let's say, eliminating this myth that every teacher has to be extroverted, and we actually completely busted this myth of even like these qualities existing, how about every single one of us has to say something that is a prerequisite for being a good teacher, like not extroverted. So for instance, empathy. Gosh. Yeah, empathy is important. Which again can be developed. Some people are natural with it, I guess. Some people can just work on it. What else?
Sickening work ethics.
Wow.
Just adding to the point of Vlad Slavic, yeah.
That's true. Honestly, that's what I learned in Canada.
Yeah.
When I was working in Canada, it was not in teaching, it was in a bakery, but I immediately realized that, Slavic people can work. And I had people come and complain to me about how they were hired as IT specialists in Canada and they literally completed all the work in 2 days and had nothing to do. And their boss was like, could we sweep it under the rug? Because we don't want to work as hard.
Can you just chill?
Can you just chill?
Yeah, take a chill pill.
All right. I don't know. I don't think I can top what Nina just said, but I'm just going to go with, I don't know. Julia, I'm going to hand the baton to you.
Okay. I have an idea, and I actually thought about it before our podcast. I think the most important thing in a teacher, well, one of the most important things, is communication skills, because especially language teaching, but honestly in any teaching, because I think there's a giant part of the whole humanity that doesn't have any communication skills, right? They're not capable of maintaining a conversation, of being genuinely interested in whatever the other person has to say, not just, waiting out for you to express your opinion.
That
Ask
is so true. Yeah.
question, active listening, reaction. Like I just, sometimes I'm like, okay, I meet this person for the first time in my life and I listen to their story and I genuinely react with my emotions. I'm like, wow, are you serious? And that makes them want to tell me more, right? And so a teacher has to be like that. They have to have these skills and maybe somehow transfer them to their students, especially if it's a language class.
Yeah, I love what you just said. I feel like it kind of boils down to emotional intelligence, and therefore I want to raise awareness about therapy. Please, people, if you are fucked up in the head, go to therapy, and the world is going to be better for you in professional and personal senses, in all of these senses. Yeah, and you can.
We are poster children for therapy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, therapy it works. Let's put it this way.
Or at least books, no? Like read books.
Yeah, books. So just like, I mean, like make an effort at least. Yeah. And that way you can overcome whatever obstacles you have, because we all have them, whether it's like social anxiety or, I don't know, depression or whatever it is. Yeah, you name it. Just try to make an effort to improve every day, take baby steps. Don't get discouraged. It's okay not to feel okay. Yeah, like reach out to your colleagues and fellow teachers for emotional support, but do not treat them as a sounding board for your trauma.
Join our courses.
Yes, that's true. That's good therapy, no? It's like killing two birds with one stone. Therapy and English.
Yeah, I don't mind personally, but I can definitely tell that you have to nip it in the bud sometimes because other people are not there for it. Yeah, I don't mind, but it's not a one-on-one class. So yeah, keep it to yourself, but yeah, just show up as your genuine self and it's going to be all right.
Okay, we should definitely wrap it up with this on this kind of note, no?
Yeah, bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you for listening to us. Yeah, our stream of consciousness. And see you guys in our next episode, Therapy Rules.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of words that I learned from Nina, is verbal diarrhea. So I think I'm starting to...
Diarrhea of a mouth. Yeah, diarrhea of a mouth, I think. That's
diarrhea of the mouth. Yeah, and then I heard it in a podcast and it was verbal diarrhea. So
okay. All right.
So it's quite common.
Word vomiting. Yeah, word vomiting.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.